Okay, thanks very much. Well, I've got about 30 minutes to show you Realist today. So what I'm going to try to do is focus on most of the new features of this new version of Realist that you're looking at right now. The big push for rolling out this new version of Realist was the flash-free nature of the new version that you're looking at right now. Those of you who were used to using the old version of Realist, it was a Flash-based system. You did have to download the most recent version of Flash. You had to activate Flash on your Chrome browser, among other browsers, when you fired it up the first thing in the morning. All of that's gone now, so no more need for Flash. Completely Flash-free HTML-based system. So the best thing about Realist, the new version of Realist, is something you can't see that I just mentioned to you there. Again, that lack of Flash. The other big change for Realist is it's now completely responsive design, mobile friendly. I'll get to more about that in a little bit, but effectively, if you get to Realist from something the size of a phone, a small phone screen, you can see that responsive design is still going to keep all of your search attributes here available for you. You're still going to be able to search for properties if you want, map those properties right to that map. Again, use all of those full map features as well, and even scroll through properties too. So completely flash-free and responsive design are the big takeaways that we want you to have from this new version of Realist to start with. But let me just actually back up a little bit and tell you a little bit about Realist as well. So again, what you're looking at right now is your Realist homepage. If you do log in from your Flex MLS listing system, generally you're going to be faced with some sort of version of this type of home screen here, whether you link in from a listing, whether you just link into the Realist homepage. Now, I've already searched for a property, as you can see, using some of the search attributes I have available to me over here. So let's start with that. Again, Realist is a county-based system. Right now, I am searching in Ingham County, Michigan, and you can see the recording date there, which indicates your ability to view any recorded deeds of sale, foreclosure, or mortgage. You wouldn't see any of those documents that we record, Realist brings in after that date, that March 20th date. So just about 3 or 4 weeks behind the current date in the world of public records. Now, you can change your counties as well, and it does depend on each county that we do serve for you exactly how up-to-date the information is in each of those counties. You're allowed to search in up to 8 counties at one time, and you can see each and every one of them has their own individual recording date. So search in one county, multiple counties if you like. Just keep in mind that that's exactly how up-to-date the information is in each of those counties. And as you log in over the days, over the weeks, over the months, you'll see those dates jump up each and every day as you're searching in Realist. Now, there's 2 different ways to search for information in Realist. Number 1 is a quick search tab, really designed for those of you to come in and just find maybe one property that you're looking for. And you'll likely have an address, an owner name, a listing number, or a parcel ID. And again, keep in mind this Realist tax and public record system brings you every single parcel of data in every single county I just showed for you on that county selection screen. So you have access to every single property, not just properties that have been listed through your MLS. And that's a very powerful tool, especially when it comes to things like printing out mailing labels, exporting that information into spreadsheets, and using it for marketing purposes as well. Let me switch over from a quick search tab, which again allows you to search by one of these basic search attributes that you'd likely have if you were looking for a single property. But there's also the concept of creating your own custom searches as well using this My Search tab. When you create your own custom searches and save them, they are saved in this drop down here. There are administrative searches that are available to each and every you as members that are available to you the first, last, and every time you log into Realist. And there are also searches that you've created on your own that you've searched or created for yourself, I should say. So I've got a property here called 2101 Heights, which you see I've already searched for. But if I do want to create my own custom search, I can just create or just click Custom Search over here on the left-hand side of my Search tab. And you can see I still have this drop-down, which allows me to, again, create my searches from scratch if I'd like. And we organize our search attribute into logical sections over here, such as who owns the property, physical geography, where is this property located, where am I looking to find these homes, what sort of physical characteristics should these homes have? Am I looking for properties with 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms? We bring in your listing information into Realist, and you'll see that in a number of places when we get into the reports. And we do allow you to search for a number of listing pieces of information that we bring in from your listings in Flex 2. Assessment and taxes, of course, at the heart of what Realist does. Sales and information, foreclosure and distress, and mortgage information. Now you can create your own custom searches and find properties in certain locations, as I mentioned, with certain number of bedrooms, bathrooms, square footages, or any other features that you'd like. When you create those searches, they are saved up here in this dropdown, and you can save these searches at any time, and then they'll be saved permanently for you in this dropdown, and you can access them anytime you like. With that said, let me run a search for the sample property I have. You see we've already mapped that property and let you know exactly where it's located. You can see it's actively listed, which means there is a listing associated with it in the MLS. And of course, we have photos for that property too. Now, there's a number of ways to get into what we call a property detail report once you're here in this REALIST homepage. Number one, you can click on the report button in the pop-up. Second, you can actually double-click down here on the grid or simply click the reports button down here in the table itself. I'll just double-click on the grid for a moment. Now that property detail report opens and you can quickly see we've got a photo of the front of the house, a thumbnail photo. This is one of the photos that the listing agent has uploaded into your listing system in the MLS. And since we have that one photo, clicking on that photo will indicate we likely have more than one photo. If you're putting up a property for sale in your listing system, likely you're going to add a number of different photos in there as well. When these photos are added, if they're changed, if they're removed, if they're taken again, or the order is changed, those changes are generally picked up within about 24 hours in REALIST. So any changes you make to your listings, generally picked up the very next day in REALIST. I'll close out of here and we'll start to take a look at all of the details in the property detail report. And this is the flagship report in REALIST that you'll probably spend the most time on. You can see again, we've got photos and additional information that's come in from the listing for this property, as evidenced by the MLS prefix on a lot of the pieces of information you see here in what we call the property summary up top. There's then an owner information section that'll let us know who owns the property and whether or not it's owner occupied. We do that by comparing it to the tax billing address for the owners of these properties. And you can find properties that are or are not owner occupied in your area just by looking for those types of homes. Now, we get into your location information section. You'll get information like your school district, your city, your subdivision, census tract, carrier route. Even your flood zone information is included here as well. As we scroll down into your tax and information section, we get your different parcel IDs. IDs, whether they're formatted or unformatted, can be searched in REALIST as well. Exemptions on the property, taxes and assessments for the most recent year and also the prior year as well. We then expand upon that information that we provide to you in terms of taxes and assessments with this rolling 3-year period of taxes and assessments in our tax and assessment table. Here's where we'll show you your state equalized value, your market value, and the dollar and percentage change year over year for those assessments and those taxes, so you can clearly see where those taxes and assessments have been going over the past 3 years. Scrolling down a little bit lower, we get into the characteristics section of the property detail report. This is where you can find everything you need to know about the physical characteristics of the home, whether it comes to the lot characteristics or the number of buildings, stories, the year the property was built. What you're also starting to see here is information that we've pulled in from the listing for this property, and you're seeing that we're comparing it right alongside the same information we're getting it from the tax roll for this property as well. Now, there can be discrepancies for these things sometimes. Just because the tax information says the property has 4 bedrooms, maybe the listing agent maybe says it has 5 bedrooms. You know, for all the county knows, if someone put a addition on that property, didn't pull the proper permits, the county still thinks it may be a 3-bedroom house, but the listing agent who's been in there knows it's a 4-bedroom house. So you will see sometimes discrepancies between bedrooms or bathrooms, or in this case, square footages. But you'll also see whenever we match, we'll also show you that the information is coming from 2 sources, and we'll only show you the one value. Again, we can't tell you who's right or wrong, but we can show you the discrepancy and leave it up to your discretion as to which value you feel more comfortable using. The sales score indicator is going to indicate the relative likelihood that the property is going to be listed for sale in the next 6 months. And this includes, but isn't limited to, market trends data, IRS data, Housing and Urban Development data, Home Mortgage Disclosure Act data, and even our own AVM all factor into that sales score on a low score of 0 to a high score of 1,000. And you can see the dates on which we calculate those values each month as well. Scrolling down a little bit further, you're still seeing the further integration between your listing information and REALIST tax information. We bring your listing information into REALIST and even allow you to link back into your Flex MLS listing system as well. We then move down into the sales history section where you can see the most recent arm's length transaction and also any nominal sales that may have occurred on this property. In this case, we have one sale on this property that occurred back in 2008. And of course, now it's actively listed again 12 years later. Scrolling down even further, we can see the mortgage history for this property, in where we show all the mortgage originations for these properties, or for this property. We don't show any remaining balances or if these mortgages have been transferred over to other lenders. And then two maps letting you know the estimated lot dimensions of the property and where the property is located in the larger scheme of things. Now that's your flagship report in REALIST, which includes, again, mortgage, sales, listing information, a sales score, physical characteristics about the home, taxes and assessments, physical information about the location of the property and who owns it, all combined with your listing information as well. So that's your flagship report in REALIST that you'll probably end up spending a lot of time on. Let me just point out a couple of other property reports as well. Your comparables report, literally your one-button comparable report, where I press that button there and I come up with 10 different comparables. And what you'll see is, and I'll point this out with REALIST, and it's one of the nice features of the CMA, here's the 10 comparable comps that I've come up with potentially. All of these little indicators here, my MLS photo indicator, my MLS listing indicator, are letting you know that these are properties that have sold through your MLS and have indicators. But what's nice about the REALIST CMA is that we're bringing in sales that haven't necessarily been processed through your MLS. This is a property that clearly is sold back in December of 2019, according to the county, but there's no photos and no listing indicator from your MLS, meaning we're bringing in a private sale or even potentially a sale that might be processed through an MLS that competes in your area. So just want to point out that that's a really nice feature of the CMA and REALIST. And from here, you can decide to include or exclude based on the information you see on the grid or what you see on the map, how many properties you would or would not like to include in your CMA. So I've gone and unchecked a couple. I've gone down to 7 properties, and I'll go ahead and generate my report. Once that report generates, what you'll see is at the very top, we'll get our interactive maps showing up there so you can see exactly where these properties are mapped. And then we'll remind you of the search criteria used to find these comps, the summary statistics for your subject property, high, low, median, and average value of all your comps. And then scrolling down lower, you get your CMA itself with your subject property on the left, comps 1, 2, and 3 out to the right, and the ability to scroll out and see more of them as well. So your CMA and REALIST, the big takeaway there is, again, very quick CMA, but also has the ability to bring in sales that you might not necessarily see when you're doing a CMA through your listing system. I will move next to a neighborhood profile report. It's another report that has lots of good information for you, most of it collected from the most recent US Census. And all that US Census data is aggregated on the zip code where this particular property is located. So you'll get information like your population summary, and you can see the estimated growth in the past 10 years. Population distribution by age, by gender, by marital status. Information about housing, median year built, median home sale price. Where do people, how are homes occupied? How many homes are owner occupied? How many are rented? How many are vacant? What are people paying in rents in this county? Quality of life, including where do people work? Household income each year. Commute method, how do people get to work, and what's the weather that they're commuting to work in? Even what's the level of education that people have attained in this particular zip code. We then move into information about local schools within a prescribed radius of this subject property, and we'll give you stats about those schools, number of students, students per teacher, and even rating systems from schooldigger.com that let you know how people did or how the students did on their state standardized test scores that year. So this is just a great report that includes schools, businesses, demographic data that's very important to people before they purchase a property in a specific area. We really try to provide you with all the information possible from public records and from your listing so that you can have your finger on the pulse of the real estate market, but also so you can impart that information to your clients as well. In fact, you're able to print out most of these reports by using the print or email button down here at the very bottom of most reports. Choosing quick print will allow you to generate a PDF for the report that we're on right now. We just went through that neighborhood profile report, and you'll see all my charts, all my graphs in a nice PDF format, at which point I could save these down to my desktop if I'd like, or I can also email them out using my Gmail or my Outlook or anything else that you use as well. REALIST does try to make it a bit easier for you by including an email template that also allows you to email these reports directly out of REALIST as PDF attachments. So as you can see here, you'll need to insert a reply to address, so replies go back to you. But then feel free to address these emails with these PDF attachments to anyone you'd like, carbon copy or blind carbon copy someone. And REALIST does take the liberty of putting in some basic information about what it is that's being emailed to your clients at this point. And we even give you the opportunity to put in your own signature so that you're well represented with any emails that are generated directly out of REALIST. With that said, I'd like to spend some time on the maps. The maps have a lot of good information that really you can take a look at. I'll hit the back button here and point out that, again, my REALIST reports simply open up in front of the rest of the map. Simply by double-clicking on that again, you'll see I open up my reports, and I can just hit the back button, and everything I was doing before on the map is still here. Now, another thing that's very nice about REALIST is depending on what you're doing, what tools you're using in REALIST at any given time, you can sort of change the orientation of this screen. So you see I have a split, a map, and a list view up here. Since I'm about to show you some more information on the maps right now, I'd like to change it to a map view, and you can see I'll hide that list section. Now, I can even drag it and bring it back in just some smaller increments, but if I want to hide it completely, just use those buttons up here at the top. Now, REALIST does use Google Maps. We'll talk about some of those features in just a moment, but I'd also like to point out the pop-up that shows up when you search for a property in REALIST. Now, if this property has been listed, you're going to see a number of different icons that you might not see otherwise. Number one, you'll see this thumbnail photo for the property, and you'll also see a photo indicator. These are the same photos that we just accessed on the property detail report that we just left. There's also the ability to link back into the full listings in your listing system for this particular property. And then the last two things that you'll see available on all properties, not just those properties that have been listed, is a quick zoom feature that allows you to zoom right down into the property. And also that estimated lot or estimated parcel dimensions are also available on your interactive maps too. So here's a great place for me to show you some of the satellite imagery we have available to you. Also, when I choose to use a hybrid view, it's going to throw my street names on top of there too, so it's easier to see where we're at. Additionally, I even have a terrain feature. So as I scroll out a bit, you'll start to see some relief there, and you'll see some terrain features showing up on your map too. If you switch back to a road map, it's a little more obvious that those were there than when they were before. Let me also scroll down a little bit and also point out that you see these parcel lines that are generating on every single one of my properties. What that allows REALIST to do, that's the GIS data we get from your county and that we can put right on top of your interactive maps, letting you know where the parcel boundaries are for these homes. So I've certainly taken a lot of time to look at the information for my subject property here, this active one, but if I want to know what's going on with my neighbors next door, I simply just have to click that parcel right on top of the rooftop, and I can find out basic information about the property, link back to that listing in your listing system, or simply go out to my reports. So it's a very nice feature where if you just come across properties that you can't find via address, maybe you find a vacant lot, you can just click on the rooftops of those homes or click on those vacant lots for those homes and find out more about them without having to do any sort of searching over here on the left-hand side. So it's that walk the block feature that I really like in REALIST, and that allows you to find out just about anything you need to know about a property. With that said, let's start working our way across some of these map tools and showing you some of the interesting things that you can do there. Because I'd like to show you how you can actually export information out of REALIST. I've showed you how you can print out PDFs and send them to your clients and again impart that knowledge to your clients. But now I want to show you how to use REALIST as a marketing tool. As I mentioned, you have access to every single parcel of data in every single county that we serve for you. And that's a very powerful tool. It's going to allow you to print out mailing labels to people and maybe generate business from people you wouldn't otherwise have seen. So I set up a hypothetical situation here where I'm a new realtor in the area, and I know this is an actively listed property, but let's for a moment pretend that I just sold this property in this neighborhood. And I'm interested in drumming up some more business in this neighborhood. I want to do a just sold mailing and let people know if they're looking to list their property with me in the near future, they should contact me directly and I can get top dollar for their home. So first what we're going to do is use one of these drawing tools up here at the top. So that way I can decide exactly who I want to market to. Maybe I know this neighborhood very well, and I know that I don't want to go too far north here, and I only want to include people in this particular subdivision, and maybe we can even take a couple of people down here to the southwest or southeast, excuse me. And as I get done and I finish up that shape, notice what happens. It adds something called Polygon 1 over here to my search. I'm now only searching within the confines of this shape called Polygon 1, which of course can be renamed if you'd like to be a little more creative than that. Now, I can search for every single property in that shaded area. What I'll need to do is I'm in this search and I need to get my 2101 out of my house number and my heights out of my street name. And what you'll see when I take all that information out is all of a sudden I can see I've got 288 matches. Before I even run this search, I know exactly how many people I'm going to find. That's a rather large number of people to email to and not a very targeted marketing campaign. So instead, let's put in a date of a sold date of less than January 1st, 2010. Now I'm looking for every single person in this shaded area that hasn't had a recorded sale on their property in the past 10 years. And those types of people are going to be much more willing to list their property with me than they would if they only purchased their property either a year ago or maybe even a month ago. Let's go ahead and run that search. And when you do run that search, you'll see that we come up with a number of different colored icons, letting you know if these properties are actively listed for sale within your MLS, if they've been sold through your MLS, if they're an expired listing through your MLS, or simply if they've never been listed through the MLS at all. So you can see not only where these properties are located on the map, but you'll also see them down here on the grid. At this point, you can decide which ones of them to include or exclude. For example, I might not want to email to someone or send a mail to someone who's already actively listed, but I certainly might want to send one to somebody who has an expired listing. And once I've decided what my list looks like, I can come down here to my labels button and print out mailing labels for all of these folks. So then we can use any of these three types of Avery formatted labels. You can decide how you want to address your labels. I would use the tax billing address since I'm doing a just sold mailing and I'm looking to reach the people who are authorized to sell these homes. And then I can show the owners as they show on the deeds, include any foreign addresses should there be anyone who live in different countries that own properties in this list. And I can eliminate any duplicate labels should I come across a builder or a landlord that owns more than one property. And I can even put in my own custom salutation as well. Now I'll go ahead and create these labels, and as I do, they'll open up in a file extension called .rtf, rich text format, which means no matter what word processing program you use, Word, WordPerfect, or Pages, you'll be able to print out your mailing labels, put your labels in the printer, affix them then to your postcards, your envelopes, or any other correspondence that you wanted to send out to any of these folks. But as you see, we're reaching people not only in Lansing who live in their homes full-time, we're reaching people who have homes in Lansing that don't live in them full-time as well. So you're going to be able to reach the owners of these properties and be able to market to them no matter where they are. Closing out of there, I also want to show you that there is the concept of exporting information not only into labels, but also into a spreadsheet format as well. Choose Customize Export, and we give you the ability to create your own custom exports with over 172 fields of data for up to 3,000 properties at one time. So you can export information. In this case, I've got some export owner and mailing exports since we're sort of in the same grain as doing my just sold mailing. Now I can export that same mail information that we just exported onto mailing labels, but now I can export it into a spreadsheet format if I'd like to as well. So that'll open up for me in a CSV format, comma separated values. And now everything I just need to mail these people physically, I've got all that available to me here. You can also imagine that you are able to export information, including sales prices, sale dates, foreclosure information, assessments, taxes. If you're a statistician and you can get all that information into Excel, you've got lots of work ahead of you because there's all kinds of things that you can do with that information. So really just wanted to point out that those are the main ways that you can get information exported out of REALIST, both in that PDF format and those reports, mailing labels, and an Excel spreadsheet as well. With that said, let's go and spend a little bit more time on our maps before we wrap up here. I do want to be mindful of all your time. I think we've got about 5 more minutes here. But I do also want to point out that we've got boundaries that you can list on top of your maps as well. So if you'd like to see cities or zip codes, or of course, school districts, county boundaries. All these are available here in these map tools, as I mentioned, including your flood zones, which will not only give you information about that, will also give you down here in the legend information about what each and every one of those flood zone codes means. In fact, hold down Control and click, and you can see information that we gather from FEMA, letting you know the flood zone panel, and the last date on which FEMA updated this panel as well. So flood zone information, also very important in REALIST. In fact, if you'd like to print these maps in REALIST as well, you can feel free to do that as well. So as I mentioned, PDFs of reports, PDFs of maps work exactly the same way. Once those PDFs generate, really Realist operates on sort of a what you see is what you get on the map at any given time. So as this PDF goes and opens up, depending on what layer I have on there, whether it's a flood layer, whether it's any other layer, whatever is on the map at any given time in Realist is exactly how that information is going to print as well. Let's turn off that information in boundaries. We'll also point out that under sales and information, we can also list up information on foreclosures as well. So if we scroll down a little bit, you'll start to see information about properties that have scheduled to go to auction. We collect information from documents, foreclosure documents there that'll let you know when and where those properties are scheduled to go to auction. We can even let you know when properties are also owned by a bank, when you see green bank-owned sale flags in some places, such as we have down here on this property. You can even tell when properties have been sold to a third party by the bank as well. Those are indicated by these brown flags as well. Here's a property owned by Fannie Mae, as indicated by that green bank-owned sale flag. So that's a great way to find foreclosed properties. Not only can you do that in your distressed property section, we can also find all of the sales that have occurred, according to the county, in the past 3 months. And you'll see those red signs start to show up. If you'd like to see where all of the sales that have occurred according to your MLS in the past 3 months, open up your MLS status, and you can list those on top of the map too. And then everywhere you see information about a property that is sold through your MLS, it's indicated by a red balloon. Where I see this red sign, however, this is another place where we're picking up, again, potentially a private sale, or at the very least, a sale that wasn't processed through your MLS, but that we do have a record of having occurred according to the county. And if you'd like to see the rest of your inventory in terms of your MLS listings, simply click the rest of those statuses, and you'll be able to see any pending sales, expired, active, or any other types of statuses that we have available for you too. Orange, again, including pending, red for sold, green for active, and purple for expired. The last thing that we can turn on here on the map would be your property characteristics. So really at a glance, without even having to actually click on top of the properties and walk that block, you can, for example, see the bedroom and bathroom count on all these properties, or the square footages for all these homes as well, or even who owns these properties too. We'll go ahead and turn those off for you. I also want to point out there is the ability to take a look at trends. So if we want to look at sort of a more of a 30,000 foot view, I can actually show you, for example, the median MLS sale price in all the zip codes around this area, or perhaps the sales activity as well. So you can see warmer colors indicating where we have higher levels of sale, and holding down Control and click will let you know exactly how many sales we've had in the last 3 months, a rolling 3-month period in that particular zip code. And again, when you go to some of your cooler areas, you'll see many less sales over that same time period. So again, those heat maps can be printed out or changed as you like as well. And here are all the different trends you have available to you too. Driving directions can also be available via REALIST too. So if you'd like to find out how to get from one place to another, or would you even like to share that information with your clients, you can do that as well. Turn-by-turn directions are going to let you know how to get from point A to point B, exactly how long it's going to take, and you can even email these to people as well. So really, a lot of great features in REALIST. There are some more things that I'd love to show you if I do have time, but I do want to ask whether or not it's about my time to start giving up control. I know we've reached my half-an-hour mark, but I'm willing to keep going, but we can also, I've tried to show you all those high points of REALIST. Let me know if I should keep going or not.
Brent, if you have more that you want to share, I think that we are all very willing to hear more if you want to keep going.
Okay, sure. I'll just finish up. I can probably have you out of here maybe in just another 5 minutes or so. So we'll go ahead and we'll show you the rest that I can do for you here. Here, let me go ahead and get rid of those driving directions. I'll just go ahead and
Hey, Brent, before you go any further, we have one question about how do you export the trend map?
Which trend map? Oh, this one right here that we were just looking at?
Yes.
So the best way to do that is go, and you see I'm zoomed out to quite a far level right here. Zoom into, again, what you see is what you get in REALIST with almost everything. So pretty much, I did show you how to export information in terms of labels, and of course, how to export information in terms of spreadsheets. But everything else, when it comes to reports, when it comes to maps, anything that I have showing on the map at any given time is exactly what's going to print. So not only do I have this turned on right now, I could also go ahead and potentially turn on my county boundaries. I could even turn on more information. I could put those driving directions, back on this map as well. So whatever you have showing on the map at any given time is exactly what's going to print. So you see now I've got this trends map turned on, and I've also got my county boundaries turned on. Now if I come down here to print, it's going to give me a choice. I've got a map and table. I've got my reports. I've got just my map, just my table, or a card view, which I'll show you more about in a minute as well. So if I choose map, whatever's showing on that map right now is exactly what's going to print as a PDF. Now it may take a minute or two since I've got a lot of things loaded up on the map, but it's going to include, again, all of those colors there. It's going to include that legend for you on the bottom, and it's also going to have that county boundary for you too. So again, anything that you put on that map, you're going to be able to print out as a PDF as well. So again, just about any of these map tools I'm showing you, provided you have them loaded up on the map, you will also be able to print them out as a PDF. And I'll go ahead and also point out that it's very nice when you get a lot of things turned on and you're not exactly where you've turned them, not sure where you've turned them on anymore. You do have the ability to turn those off using the legend down here at the bottom, which is a very nice feature too. I'll also point out, if we get into perhaps downtown Lansing where it's a little bit more commercial, we can also show you where various points of interest are located as well. Very nice if people who are searching for properties need to live near specific facilities, whether they be hospitals or places to shop or places to eat. If we can show you where some of those are, we'll start to get some icons showing up, letting you know where, again, some of the hotels are, some of your coffee shops are as well. And sometimes it does take a minute for those to load up, but there they are. So again, beds are going to indicate where there are places to sleep. You're going to have places where there are places to shop. You're going to have your government buildings as well. All those are going to be available via some of these push pins here, hospitals, transportation as well. So I'll go ahead and turn those off. And those are all coming in directly from Google Maps, which again, we've upgraded from Bing Maps in the old version of REALIST as well. Find on map is another good one. I like to use this to find information on the map that I wouldn't normally be able to find using some of my search attributes over here on the left. It does say put information into this address, put an address information there, but I can put in things like, if I could spell, something like Saginaw Bay, which you'd never be able to find really using any of the search attributes over there on the left-hand side. There's really no ability to find a lake or a bay or a body of water, but locate on map is going to allow you to find those things, those parks, those bodies of water that potentially people may want to live near too. You can even annotate these maps. So as I showed you that what you see is what you get, you can again even put notes on these maps. And again, just print those out and send them to people. Let people know that there's a great house here with beautiful views of the bay on one of these nice towns up here as well. You can do that too, or you can simply delete those as well. Let me just take a little bit of time to talk about the information that we can return for you on the grid. One thing I do want to show you that's very new in REALIST is the card view we have available. So certainly what you're seeing now, this list view that's available to you, and the ability to find properties on the list and just hop them to the top of the map is a nice feature. Watch what happens when we switch this to a completely list view, in which case you get these cards now. And these are particularly helpful as kind of I mentioned earlier in that responsive design view of REALIST, where perhaps again, if you were looking at properties on something like a phone, you could just scroll through these very quickly if you'd like to as well. So that's kind of a nice feature. And the other thing that we allow you to do on these cards is we allow you to customize some of the fields that you see on them too. So you can see down here the owner name, the tax bill, and the beds. In addition to your listing information, your bedroom, bathroom, and square footage information, these can be customized for you if you'd like to as well. Simply go and click on Customize those cards, take out information regarding beds, and potentially maybe you wanted to know whether or not all these properties were owner occupied. So you can completely customize all of these fields of data here that you see in this card view as well. Other than that, folks, going back to a split view, I do want to point out that this table is very helpful. Again, you can always tell if a property's been listed, if we have photos for it, if there is a stage of foreclosure associated with it, or if there are any distress sales associated with it. Certainly, you can always change up these columns of data. You can sort by these different columns of data as well, whether ascending or descending. And you can even add or remove columns of data as well. So totally customizable by you to add or remove these if you want to as well. With that said, folks, I do want to be mindful of your time. I know we've got other people presenting today, and I did go a few minutes over, but those really were the high points of REALIST. I do really want to point out again that I hope you've seen it's more than just a tax and public record system. It is a tool that really has access to every parcel of data for you. It can be a powerful marketing tool. Again, completely mobile friendly and flash free now, and we really do hope you've been enjoying the new version of REALIST. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to show you some of these high points.
Hey, Brent,
Yes.
could you show our members how to get to REALIST from the Flex dashboard?
Absolutely. I do not have access to your Flex system, but I imagine it is extremely similar to what you're looking at right now. So I am on, I think, one for Central Panhandle in Florida, I believe. There are a couple of different ways to get into REALIST. I don't believe you use a Clarity SSO. Let me know if that's wrong. If you do use a Clarity SSO, you would be able to log on to REALIST from there. But if not, this is the only way in to REALIST, is through Flex. However, once you are in Flex, there are a couple of ways to get into REALIST. First, I'll click on a new listing here, and I'll get a number of different properties coming up in my hot sheet. Now, if I actually click on the listing number itself, what you'll see up here at the top, and it may be slightly different for you, you may have a few different buttons, but you'll see a REALIST tax info button, a neighborhood profile button, and remember I showed you that neighborhood profile report. This is simply a direct link into that report. And then there's a property map button. You may have one or more of these, you may just have these, but from a listing, if I click on REALIST tax info, first what it does is it takes me to a property detail report. So this is a little different looking. These are folks that haven't upgraded to the new version of REALIST yet. What happens after that, though, is you can launch that and go into REALIST itself. So there is that kind of intermediary page, a REALIST property detail report that you get to first. It's going to be a different look for you, but you'll still have these same buttons: launch REALIST, comparables, neighborhood, and the ability to print anything you see in this property detail report. When you click launch REALIST, we'll map that property for you in REALIST, and it'll look very much like it did, when we came in from that one property, and you just saw that push pin showing me exactly where it is. Now you can also skip that property detail report. Simply click property map. That takes you right here, and it will actually map that listing I came in from and show you that property down there on the grid too. Now, the very last way that you can get into REALIST is over here on your little hamburger icon next to the menu. Usually there's something, and again, it's probably similar for you. This is not your actual Flex MLS system for Greater Lansing, but usually there's going to be a taxes section and the ability to click on a REALIST tax info, and that gets you into REALIST, but without really the benefit of having come in from a listing. So it'll be a nice blank slate. You'll really just sort of center in, on the general area where you searched last. You'll have your grid, your search information available for you over here, and you can kind of start searching.
Hey, Brad.
Yes,
Or
sir.
Brent, I'm sorry. Sometimes, or how often is REALIST updated?
Well, that all depends. What are we talking about? Are we talking about sales, mortgages, and foreclosures? Are we talking about assessments and taxes?
The question was asked that sometimes the BSNA has data faster than REALIST seems to.
Okay. And I'm sorry, a BSNA is?
So BSNA is our state's public records database that most of our municipalities use, but not all of them.
Got it. I am not intimately involved in data collection, so I don't have, every piece of information for you about what our relationship is. We generally collect information from each individual county. I will point out that, again, we serve 10 counties for you, and what you'll see in most of these counties is that we do have dates next to them. And again, this will be as up to date as we are with things like recorded deeds of sale, foreclosure documents, mortgage information. So for example, here in Barry County, Michigan, you wouldn't expect to see any information past February 14th, 2020. Now that's a little further back than, again, Ingham County, Clinton County, and a number of others. In general, I see, in larger areas, and I'm talking, LA and places like that, Orange County, sometimes we get as close as maybe 1 or 2 weeks behind the current date in terms of public records. That's about as fast as I ever see. I mean, when I see things about 2, 3, 4 weeks in the past in terms of public records data, I generally think that's usually what I see, particularly in areas that might be a little bit more rural in some cases, not that all of these are, but that's usually what I see. We do try to get that information processed from the counties and into REALIST as fast as possible. Sometimes it's a matter of us keying the data. Sometimes we get an electric file transfer. Sometimes we get information from those counties and they simply just don't include enough information that's current enough from the county level for us to even get any more information than that. We do this in 3,100 different counties across the country, so it is very unique with each and every county. But when it comes to recording those transactions, it really will be more of a county by county basis. And of course, our assessments and taxes, which you see on your property detail reports, and let me bring those up for you really quickly. Those are going to tend to be updated once per year. So assessments and taxes will happen once per year. And again, I don't have at my fingertips our processing schedule for these particular counties. I know one of the things that we do try to do is we do have account specialists that are associated with your accounts in REALIST. And we do try to get ideas from you as to which counties are most important for you, for us to process quickly. If you'd rather see us processing taxes in Ingham County prior to, processing taxes, in Livingston County instead, those are priorities that we can set. And of course, we can get that information into REALIST quicker in some counties than we can in other. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And I'm willing to take any other questions you want. If we have time, just let me know. And if you'd like me to do anything else, I'm here for you for as long as you need.
Okay, it doesn't look like we have any more questions.
Okay. Well, it was my pleasure being here today. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to show you more information on REALIST. And of course, as usual, if there's anything else you need me to schedule or any other training that you'd like to do, always happy to do it.
Hey, Brent.
Thanks, Brent.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
I will. Was there
Thank you.
another question? Or no?
I think we're all set.
Okay, sounds good. I'll
Thank
stop
you.
sharing. Do you need me to hang out in this meeting for any longer?
Nope, we're all done with our meeting.
Okay, great. Thanks very much, folks. And if you have any questions that have come up, after the fact or anything like that, or you want to, just please feel free to send me an email and I'll try to answer any questions I have on REALIST for you.
Great, thank you. Have a great day.
Take care, everybody. Stay safe.